Welcome to another round of Prem and Proper here at SDH Networks, and we will break down the week that was in the Premier League. We'll get you ready for the weekend that will be with a couple of coaches and analysis and sound and all those kinds of things that will get you ready for the upcoming weekend in the Premier League. But before we go forward, we've got to go backward and balance out everything that happened just before we got into the European competitions last week in the Premier League. Looking at your results on Saturday, your early game, shocker, Nottingham Forest over Liverpool at a plus 790. Big win for Steve Cooper, 1-0 over Liverpool at the City Ground. Manchester City over Brighton by the score of 3-1 at a minus 435. Erling Haaland continues to score 9,000 goals this season. Everton over Crystal Palace by the score of 3-0. Chelsea and Manchester United was a 1-1 draw, and it was bad news for Manchester City. Rafael Varane left early at a plus 260 for your 90-minute draw. Eric Ten Hag asked about that and the Casemiro header after the match, courtesy of our friends at the Premier League.
He looked as though he was in tears, as though he himself realised it was a serious injury, and of course we're only a month away from the World Cup. You say you've got to wait 24 hours, but have the Milicks had chance to have a quick look, or is it just too early to make a proper diagnosis?
It's not possible. But he feels, of course, and that gives a certain perspective. But you don't know. We have to wait minimal 24 hours, but even longer when it's that injury.
Obviously, we all hope for positive news.
Yes.
You didn't buy him for that reason, but what would you say about Casemiro's header?
Oh, great. But we buy him also for this reason, because we need headers, and I think that was a great finish. But I want to value the spirit of the team. It was a tough game. It was the fourth. When you then get down, then it's really difficult. And I saw the body language from my players, but they found their belief back in the last minutes, and they fight back, and they get a well-deserved point.
Then after the Chelsea-Manchester United 1-1 draw, it was time for Roy Keane and Gary Neville to hold court about Cristiano Ronaldo, and it wasn't pretty.
You're saying as if he was banned for 6 months. Of course he's not the same as... Yeah. And whose fault was that? Was that the club's fault or his teammates' fault?
You don't think Cristiano Ronaldo should have been punished this week?
Yeah, dead right, yeah. But we're saying you're saying he can't deal with being a sub. He was leading goal scorer last year.
He's right, though. He can't be dealing with this as
right,
being a sub. He can't be dealing with a sub. He doesn't want to be a sub.
They played Man City a few weeks ago. There's 6. It could have been 16. The manager after the game says, I'm not bringing him on. I'm not bringing him on because he didn't want to disrespect him. They go to Everton a few weeks. They go to Everton a week later. He comes on after half an hour. Managed to score a goal. He's playing against Newcastle a few days later.
There's no Manchester United fan at this moment in time. There aren't many who would have Cristiano Ronaldo in the starting 11.
I couldn't care less what fans think. I couldn't care less. A lot of fans haven't got a clue what's going on.
Right. They're better without him. They score more goals without him, and they win more points without him. That's a fact. He's coming to the end of his career. Manchester United are a better team without him, Roy. He's just got to get used to that or leave.
That's fine. But I think if you feel you're being treated unfairly, which he obviously thinks, and there's arguments for and against. But I'm not saying Man United are going to have.
Do you think he's been treated unfairly?
But why is he being treated unfairly?
I think he probably feels that.
But do you think he is being treated unfairly?
Right, I heard you before the game, right? I have to say, your mentality,
I don't think so.
Cristiano's mentality is a unique mentality. I have to say, it's a unique mentality. You're fiercely competitive. That mentality of such that basically you have to play. You cannot be on the bench watching us because of what you've done in your careers and how great you were as players. That's just your mentality. But not for normal folk, normal players. That is not what you do. Go out and leave your changing room before the players have got off the pitch. You can't do that.
You keep talking about Man United being a way better without Ronaldo. Let's look at the start of the season, what he's involved. He didn't play against Man City. There's games where United...
Do you not think they're better without him? Do you not think they're better without him?
I think he's...
Come on.
In the starting 11? No, I wouldn't say that.
I think they're better without him, Roy.
I think they can't carry him.
Would you hang your hat more so on even Rashford or Ronaldo even now? The reason...
the stats
when Ronaldo came to Man United when he was 17 years of age, we loved him. We loved everything about him because he wanted to be the best. Right? Simple as that. And he had his critics then because he was going over quickly and end product and all this. What I love about Ronaldo now, he's 37. And I'm not saying what he's done in the last few weeks is getting a thumbs up, far from him. But he's obviously had enough. But he snapped. Ronaldo's 37. He still wants to be the best in the world.
once again courtesy of our friends at Sky Sports. On Sunday, Leicester, don't know where they found the offense, but they found it. 4-0 win over the Wolves at Molineux at a plus 218. Southampton and Arsenal, a 1-1 draw. Surprising point for Southampton. Let's hear from the two head coaches after the match, Mikel Arteta and Ralph Hasenhüttl.
Mikel, it's another point, but are you a bit frustrated it wasn't more today?
Yes, I am, especially with the big chances that we created. The way we started and played the first half, the game should have been in a different position, but great to Southampton as well, the way they came out the second half. We weren't as clean and as consistent on the ball as we were in the first half. We started to concede a lot of long throws, set plays, disrupt our game, and despite that, I think we created the two biggest chances again in the second half. It wasn't enough to win the game, unfortunately.
When you look back to when you had the lead in the first half, can you put your finger on why it was that you just couldn't find that second or that third?
Put the ball in the net. I think we had the big chances and the big situations to put them away, and we did. And in the Premier League, a goal is never enough.
Well, congratulations, Ralph, on a point against the league leaders. Does it feel like quite a significant point to you?
I think we showed in the second half how competitive we are, and I think in the first half we were lucky that we only one down, but as long as you're only one down, you're in the game, and then you see what happens when you are believing and when you put a lot of effort in and a lot of passion, and it was amazing to watch the turnaround and the mentality of the lads today, because we had them in the end in the ropes, and we could also win it in the end. But okay, I think it wouldn't have been deserved. Although I also like to win when it's not deserved, so it's okay.
Fulham and Leeds, 5-goal shootout. Fulham wins it by the score of 3-2 at a plus 247. Aston Villa and Brentford. It was a big win for Aston Villa after the sacking of Steven Gerrard. We'll get into that in just a little bit at a plus 108. Newcastle beat Spurs by the score of 2-1 at a plus 237 at Spurs at Tottenham Stadium. After the match, our friends from the Premier League caught up with Bruno Guimaraes, new dad, about what it's like with a new member of the family.
I have to say, when you walked into this room, you look exhausted. Has it been a really great but tough few days?
Yeah, difficult days, but I think it was one of the best days in my life. I'm very happy, proud. I think all the things in my life is become like a dreams. I don't have words, because it's amazing what is happening in my life.
You better say a word for your wife. She was the hero?
Yeah. It's for, I would say thanks to my family as well, because it was a difficult day, but all the things worth.
And a little boy called Matteo.
Yeah, Matteo is...
And the win for Matteo.
Yeah, win for Matteo. Thank you, bro.
Callum, you're looking at him with real love there. Pleased for you, mate?
Yeah, unbelievable character, player, and obviously so happy for him. Now he's become a father. You know, it's a special thing, and he'll treasure it. I'm sure he's an emotional guy. It's been an emotional few days, but we've topped it off with a nice win for him and his family.
Monday Night Football, West Ham and Bournemouth. We're going to spend a lot of time here because of the analysis that happened during the week. West Ham would win it by the score of 2-0 over Bournemouth at a minus 164. Jamie Carragher analyzed the difference right now with Bournemouth with Scott Parker in charge, and now with Gary O'Neill, courtesy of our friends at Sky Sports Premier League.
Let's not forget, Gary O'Neill was part of the coaching staff under Scott Parker. He's got the job in difficult circumstances. He's tweaked things, shall we say. But the actual record of what you've just mentioned there, the games undefeated, is absolutely fantastic and gives them a chance, even at this early stage, of thinking maybe they may stay up. But I just want to look at sort of the stats and sort of Scott Parker and Gary O'Neill. Now, what you've got to keep remembering is the opposition Scott Parker was up against really initially. So we look at the games at the top. Scott Parker had 4 games against 3 of the top teams in the division. Gary O'Neill's had 7. So defensively, so the goals conceded, we can see there's a huge difference. But let's not forget, one of those games, which was the last game for Scott Parker, was the 9-0 at Anfield. So completely different in terms of goals conceded. 4th in the division, going from bottom to 4th. So you'd say a massive jump. But when we look at the underlying numbers, if you like, what's behind that, so the actual XG per game is not too different, really. And again, you have to take into account the opposition of Scott Parker was up against. So under Gary O'Neill, the 15th, shots faced per game is pretty similar, not too much difference. The big thing is the actual save ratio. That is a huge thing. Now, that was the first thing Gary O'Neill did. He changed the goalkeeper. He brought Neto in and Mark Travers was taken out. So that is a huge difference in terms of why the results have changed. So defensively, there's been a big improvement. The goalkeeper's got a lot to do with that. He's saving a lot more shots, basically. So attacking-wise, again, there's more goals. Again, you take the opposition into effect again. But if you actually look at their expected goals per game, the chances they're creating, they're still the worst in the league. Shots per game, pretty low, and shot conversion. So you see these here, still in a really poor position. So what those numbers tell us, over a longer period of time, it's still going to be a really difficult season for Gary O'Neill and Bournemouth.
And then after that, he spent time on the sacking of Steven Gerrard at Aston Villa because big news would come in short order. Was it the right decision?
I think it was the right decision, mainly on the back of the second half of Fulham, where there was a sending off, it starts to go wrong. It's not just a 1-0 defeat, it ends up being 2 or 3. And the reaction of the crowd, there was no way I think Stevie could have gone into that game on Sunday on the back of the chants and the discontent from the Aston Villa supporters. And I'm not saying this because he's a friend, and I think supporters who pay the money and go away midweek are 100% allowed to voice their concern, and it hasn't been going well. They felt it a little bit dull, not being exciting enough. I just felt some of the chants at the end, maybe because he's my mate, I thought maybe crossed the line a little bit, but I can understand the frustration, and it was hard to watch, I must say that. But no, I think it was the right decision, and I spoke to Stevie on Monday before these 2 games. He felt he'd have the Fulham game and the Brentford game, but I think after the Fulham game, I think it was obvious it become untenable.
Then we mentioned that news. The new hire, Unai Emery. Here's how the news broke at Sky Sports News.
What timing this is, Aston Villa, because breaking news on Aston Villa's Twitter feed. They have just announced they are delighted to announce the appointment of Unai Emery as the club's new head coach. Just click on the link now and see it for the first time. There's a little bit of background, of course, saying that he has been a manager at the likes of Valencia, Arsenal, Sevilla, Villarreal and PSG, of course, as well. Premier League fans will know him, Matt, from his time at Arsenal.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he was at Arsenal after Arsene Wenger, a big job for him. It didn't work out. He's replaced by Mikel Arteta, and they've obviously gone on to bigger and better things since then, Arsenal. But he's got real European pedigree, hasn't he? Particularly the Europa League. That is what he is known for. And it's interesting, really, that Villarreal, obviously, they're going to get a big payout here from Aston Villa. Villa willing to meet that buyout clause.
Yeah, and you mentioned the European success. It really is vast for Unai Emery, but it's all localised to one tournament in the Europa League. I mean, at Villarreal, he was there for over 2 years. He led them to their most famous night in their history, that Europa League final win over Manchester United the following season in the Champions League. Took them right away to the semis, only to lose to Liverpool as well. But previously, 3 Europa League titles at Sevilla as well. And let's not forget 7 trophies as well at Paris Saint-Germain. This is a manager who has been at some of the biggest clubs in Europe, and Aston Villa is his next destination. So you would say that is a real good signing for Villa, as he has come in as Steven Gerrard's replacement. We saw them bounce back with that 4-0 win over Brentford this weekend, and now it'll be really interesting to see what Unai Emery does. So he's replaced Villarreal with Aston Villa.
So let's take a peek at the standings right now, and there's a lot of folks within a lot of points at the bottom. Arsenal at 28 points, got their first draw of the season. Manchester City, 11 matches, 2 points behind at 26. Spurs, 12 matches in. They've lost 2 in a row. They're at 23 points. Newcastle, unbeaten in 5 at 21 points in 4th. Chelsea also with 21 points in 11 matches. They're in 5th. Manchester United hasn't lost in their last 4. They're in 6th. Fulham has won 2 in a row. They're in 7th. Liverpool had a 2-game win streak, snapped with the loss to Forest. They are in 8th. Brighton has lost 3 of 4 under Roberto De Zerbi. They're in 9th at 15 points. West Ham has hit each one of the columns. Last time out, win. Before that, loss. Before that, draw. 14 points in 10th. Ahead of Brentford on goal difference, -1 to -3. Everton's in 12th at 13 points. Had a 3-game losing streak snapped with their win last time out. Crystal Palace is at 13 points in 13th with 11 matches played. Goal difference of -4. Bournemouth, 13 points, big goal difference with 12 matches played at -15. Remember, 9 of that, a lot of that happened in the last match that Scott Parker was manager. Aston Villa, 12 points in 15th. Southampton, 12 points in 16th. They're unbeaten in their last 3, however. Leicester, unbeaten in their last 3. They've won their last 2. They're out of the relegation fight at 11 points. Leeds has lost 4 in a row. They're in the relegation zone at 9 points. Wolves have only scored 5 goals in 12 matches. Goal difference of -13. They're in 19th. Forest right now with 2 wins, 3 draws, 7 losses. Goal difference of -15. They are dead last, even though they're unbeaten in 3 of their last 4. So the question was raised to Sean Dyche and Jamie Carragher about what it's like to have the mentality of the manager on the touchline in a relegation fight. Once again, courtesy of our friends at Sky.
Obviously, when you were in the Burnley job, so often, me and Gary would be sat here and we'd be looking at things like that, and sometimes you'd be in the bottom 3 or you'd be bottom of the league, and we still never thought that you would go down. That's a different sort of subject, but there was never any of that panic around Burnley, whereas other clubs, I just mentioned before about West Ham, probably never normally down there so often, but there was almost not a relaxation, but there wasn't that panic at Burnley when you were there. There was always
this experience, is that what you mean?
Yeah, the experience, the feeling that what you do eventually will work out and you'll get yourself out of those process.
Yeah, but you learn to manage the noise as well. You've got to manage that bit, that's the key.
From Neville.
You said it. No, you learn to manage the noise about what it is. You're a Premier League football manager. There is going to be noise if you're not winning games. And so you have to handle that as a manager, not just a bit on the pitch, that whole feel of it. The club maybe have to understand that, where you're at. That was a fortunate thing at Burnley, particularly the older boys that worked with me for longer. They weren't, even when we finished 7th, they weren't kind of going, right, we want you to finish 6th the next year. They were kind of going, look, we get it. We get the challenges. Different clubs now have different viewpoints, and I think, like I say, the ownership is so important. The ownership of a club can be really riggy, really wanting change very quickly. They listen to the fans and the noise, or some just say, no, we're going to sit tight. And rights and wrongs are about getting the results, what everyone wants, and being in the Premier League.
So that sets us up for the weekend. Very, very busy activity. It is 8 matches on Saturday, 9 on your Sunday. 7:30 Eastern, it is Manchester City at Leicester at a -345. Leicester's north of +900. Bournemouth is hosting Spurs at a -147. Brentford at the G-Tech hosting Wolves, their favorite, at a +122. Brighton and Chelsea at the Amex. Chelsea's a +154. Brighton's at a +191. 10 o'clock, Crystal Palace, Southampton. Crystal Palace at a -104. Newcastle at a -115, hosting Aston Villa under Unai Emery. 12:30, Fulham and Everton. Fulham at a +137, and Everton is a +208. Your draw is a +246. Your 245 later than late start. Liverpool and Leeds. Liverpool a -294. Your draw is a +486. Leeds is a +747. Sunday, 2 matches, 10 o'clock, 12:15. Arsenal -500 hosting Forest, who are north of +1400. Manchester United hosting West Ham. Manchester United's a -141. Your draw is a +307. West Ham is a +388. And that's your quick rundown of everything going on in the Premier League as you're getting to match week 12/13 for a lot of folks. Very, very busy Saturday, so strap in and enjoy what's going on right now in the Premier League. A lot of teams at the bottom within a good week of jumping out of the relegation fight or being dragged back into it if they have a bad week. So we'll keep an eye on it right here at SDH. That's another round of Prem and Proper. Enjoy it on your carriers of choice and enjoy your teams as you get up entirely too early in the morning to follow them here in the colonies. I'm just John. Played safe, everybody. Enjoy the Premier League. That's another round of Prem and Proper.